Hi everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady checking in with a mid-February container garden tour right here from my garden in Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina. Now we have been enjoying some really nice steady normal winter temperatures, which is such a relief, and all of the containers are really looking great. I haven't had to do anything in particular except keep them watered. So let me turn this camera around so that you can get an up-close view. Well, here in the driveway, you can see everything's looking great. The broccoli in the wall is really starting to go into flower. It's not as big as I'd like it to be, but I definitely will be harvesting this soon because as you can see, some of them are already starting to stretch and will be likely showing bloom soon. So in fact, I'm gonna go ahead right now, snap that one right off. The reason I always either cut them or snap them off and don't remove the whole thing is because you can see all these little baby broccolis that are growing at the nodes. And once you break off that apical dominance, you'll end up getting lots of side shoots that you'll be able to harvest. So for now, this is the only one in the wall that I'm taking, and that is because you can see those flower buds are expanding. If I left it go a couple more days, it would basically be inedible. The rest of these are looking great. And I am amazed at these blueberries from Bushel and Berry. I've had them a few years. I know I have labels in here, but I think I see one right here. This one is Sapphire Cascade. And you can see it's held its leaves. They've stayed red all winter. And you can see now that it's got lots of flower buds. Of course, every flower bud equals fruit. So the more your blueberries flower, the better harvest you'll have. Now, of course, along with that, I made some fresh floating arrangements, and you can see Sophia here is certainly enjoying all of the containers in the driveway bed. And I wanted to give you an update on some of my cauliflowers. They do look a little bit nipped, and that was from when we got down into the teens back in January, but I'm letting it grow. I'm definitely still gonna harvest it and eat it. And this one, however, I think is a little past its prime. So I'm probably gonna go ahead and just cut this one out, and that'll give me an opportunity to put in a new cauliflower plant to be able to grow out for the spring. However, you can see that snapdragons have recovered great. They are doing well and already starting to bloom again. And the violas just never stop. They are my favorite winter flower and I love them. I always choose violas over pansies simply because they have more flowers and they bloom for a significantly longer period of time. And across the front porch here, again, that flowering cabbage is doing really well, as are these cauliflowers. You can see this one did not get nipped, and I think that's because of the placement here along the front porch, and this was covered under remay, so that made a big difference. See cabbage here, broccoli's there, more snapdragons, and well, I'm just really pleased overall with how all of these containers have done. And I really like these longleaf pines, which I bought as 1 gallon seedlings from the North Carolina Botanic Garden during their native plant sale. And my plan is this spring to get these planted in a grove next door at the Carolina Garden House in the Natives border. Speaking of the Carolina Garden House, we've got some new Airbnb people moving in this weekend. You can see the pots that we did during our seed sale and cottage garden demo are doing great, especially with these cages that are helping prevent the deer from nibbling in them. But I believe this was barley. I think that was rye, or maybe wheat. I'm not sure. I can't remember anymore. And behind here are some pots that have been planted for years. This is a raspberry from Bushel and Berry, and that's actually a mint that I don't want to release to the world, and that's a blackberry from Bushel and Berry. The reason these 3 plants are in large pots is because they have a bit of an invasive habit when they're planted in the ground, but I like them all, so this is my strategy for being able to maintain them. Now I did want to show you a pot of poppies because I was trying to show how it is possible, and here's a great example. These are poppies that were seeded during the cottage garden class last November, and everything is doing great. The key is just keeping them watered. And well, that's just something to pay attention to as we head into spring. If we go, 5 or 6 days without a good rainstorm, go ahead and pull the hose out. Now the pots across the front here at the Carolina Garden House are doing really well. You see the agapanthus didn't really get nipped at all, and that's the best bet here in Central North Carolina. You cannot beat those violas. And then these pots, which are a mix of ornamental mustard and edible cauliflowers, are doing great. You can see those cauliflowers are really starting to grow. They're so healthy. The snapdragons look good. And look, this mustard is already starting to bolt. So that'll be flowering really soon. It's gonna look beautiful. But I like this combination a lot. They're simple, but elegant. And I hopefully think that all the visitors that are coming in the next few weeks will get to enjoy how these beautiful Foodscape containers look. Well, I'm thrilled to show you how well this container is doing. This big feed tank, which has a great mix of things like mustard and kale, lupins, and fava beans. The fava beans are doing really well, but wait until I show you the next set of fava beans. They are actually in flower already. Remember now, it is only the 9th day of February. So some of the crimson clover needs to be cut back. That got frost damaged. But I sowed these fava beans as a demonstration in a veggie cube bag. Didn't remove the soil from the bag, literally just cut holes in the bottom for drainage. We did this in October when we hosted a foodscaping class from the J.C. Ralston Arboretum. And here we are, the middle of February, and they are starting to bloom. And they look a little rough because they have gone through some cold weather, but I think it's pretty amazing to see these flowers in February. And you can see the plants are just loaded with buds. There's going to be a lot more blooms to come, which means a whole bunch of seed to be able to collect and eat. Well, all of the pots here at the fire pit bed are looking good. Again, it's those violas that really are the rock stars that just bloom their heads off all season long. You can see here is some of the spicy greens mix that is starting to bloom. We've got arugula that's flowering. We've got nice curly mustard, some grains there. I'm pleased to see the grains germinating so well in this big pot, and then lots of poppies also growing in there. And these containers are all looking good. With any luck, we'll start to be able to see some cauliflower soon. And here along the greenhouse, in these big fabric bags, these are root pouches, 100-gallon root pouches filled with soil cube. And the cauliflowers are growing well. The spinach that I seeded in is looking good. Almost ready to start harvesting on that. And I have some work to do here. I'm going to go ahead and clean these out today and get some fresh seeds sowed into these containers. And look here again, another broccoli that's definitely at that stage that either pick now or forever hold your peace. Of course, you can let it bloom and go to seed, and then you can collect your own broccoli seed. But today, I feel like I'm in the mood to eat some broccoli. Of course, the cabbages are also doing really well, coming along, not quite ready to be harvested, but nice size heads that are definitely starting to grow out. Well, you may remember last month when I repotted this container, another feed tank, and it's doing great. You can see a million poppies germinating and the big clumps of oats along the back, which are going to be beautiful. I think this is going to be a really pretty container. And here on the back porch, I've pulled out a lot of stuff because we have a few nights that are well above freezing. So I always bring the plants out. You can see this lime tree is loving it. It's in bloom right now, and it has some fruit that are almost ready to be harvested. This has been in my heated shed with the Norb grow lights, which aren't on right now, but you can see all the succulents are doing quite well. And out here, of course, this container with broccoli, see those are doing well. I'm gonna leave them for a little while longer. It's my other lime tree, which I generally harvest in November. And I, of course, made some more floating flower arrangements for everybody to enjoy because it's Floating Flower Friday. And this is my favorite way to be able to see everything that's in bloom right now in my garden. And last but not least, I wanted to show that the Romanesco broccoli that I seeded just over a week ago in the tower garden is starting to germinate. So the next time I give a container update, this tower will look amazing. Well, everybody, I hope this February container garden tour will serve as inspiration for you. If you don't have your containers planted, now is a great time to think about putting in some early spring plants that are, of course, tolerant for frost. Here in Central North Carolina, now is a great time to get more brassicas started, either from seed or buying starts from a garden center. Things like broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, kale, mustard, arugula, lettuce, all thrive with the conditions that we're experiencing. Well, as always, thanks so much for watching, everybody, and happy gardening!